Hi. Right now, we're going to learn a little bit about support painting. This is cute little dragon. And these are the settings for my organic tree settings. One thing I want to tell everyone about that has nothing to do with supports, but with printing, is right here under strength. Now your slicer may look different than this. This is Creality Slicer. But they all have the same things: quality, strength, speed, supports, and other. And maybe extra things. Yours might have more bells and whistles. But if you go to strength and you look at your infill, number one, don't use grid. Grid is horrible. Grid will eat up your nozzle, and it sounds like your nozzle is just dragging. I use gyroid, but grid, don't use grid. I don't know about a lot of the others, but that's the one that I know. Ugh, don't do it. And then I use, most of the time, monotonic, unless it's a design that I want on the bottom so that I get a really neat design. An octagram spiral makes a really neat bottom layer. All right, let's go back to it. Oh, and down here in other. If you have one on there that says reduce infill retraction and it's check marked, take the check mark off. This says don't retract when the treble is entirely in the infill area. That means the oozing can be seen. This can reduce times of retraction for complex models and save printing time, but makes slicing the G-code generation slower. I'd rather have a slow generation. So anyway, I take that off. And that seems to help my prints. All right, let's go back up to supports, because that's what we're talking about today. These are the support settings I use. I had a different set of support settings on here. I printed an object, and the object was horrible to get off. My thumb was cut, my finger was cut, and I had a huge mess of supports laying on my desk. I mean, probably 2 or 3 handfuls. Thick, hard to get off. With this, I have maybe a handful of supports that I had to get off. Let's look at support painting. If you click, it's gray right now. You have to be on the item. Find your support painting. Every slicer has one. Support painting. Here's mine. I'm going to click it. It opens up another box. You want to make sure your supports are already enabled in order to use this. If your supports aren't enabled, this won't work. So make sure supports are enabled here first. Enable supports. Make sure that that is checked. Tree auto. Yes, that's what I want. Or you could do tree manual if you want to put all your own supports on. Then you have your options of circle, fill, gap fill, and sphere. I use circle. Gap fill may be good, but because then I'm not missing spots, but I like the circle. And then pen size and section, but I'm jumping ahead. Before we do that, let's go ahead and just slice our object. Just with what we have right here. Let's see how many supports are on there. Waiting, 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 waiting. Okay. Look at this. Look at how many supports are on there. And then it's not even getting his other eye or his eyebrow. But look at this. He looks like he's being choked. Lots in his mouth there. And then down at his bottom side, there's a little bit down here, right? I want to show you something with that as well. Let's see. Go back to prepare. I actually forgot that I had already lowered this, so I'm going to put it back. So you'll see it's at negative 1.54. Your Z should always be at 0. Sometimes you will get an STL that a designer made, and you go to put it in your print on your printer, and it looks like it's all the way down. It looks like it is. And then you slice it and you got all these supports underneath it, and you're like, what in the world? If you go over and click on this here, the move T, okay, you can see what your Z is. It's not on the bed plate. The bed plate, it should be on 0. Now, on Creality 6.1, it won't be on 0. It's like at a negative whatever or a 1, but it's got an automatic snap to bed plate, so you don't have to worry about it as much. And some others might have that too, but just make sure you're checking that it's on the bed plate. Okay, if you're getting a whole lot of supports underneath, that's probably what it is. Okay, with that being said, I'm going to click off of that. I'm going to reslice. Okay, I'm going to take off tree supports for a minute and then reslice it. I want to show you how you can see where it's saying you need tree supports. So if I look now, all these places. Okay, let's go back to prepare. Gotta reorganize my screen a little. It seems that the dragging has floating regions. Please orientate the object or use supports. So it's telling me, hey, you need supports. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to make sure I've got supports enabled. Then I'm going to go up to my support painting. Now if I look, see all those blue places that were blue? Now they're all red. That's all the places that it's saying I need supports. Well, this is not that far up that I really think that I need too many supports. However, I can do another tip with that. Let's go back over here. Remember how I said that you have that 0 on your bed plate? Well, there's plenty of wiggle room there that I could bring him down just a smidge. Anything that goes under the bed plate will not be printed. So now I've lowered him just a little. Let's see if that helps with what it says he needs now. I don't want to lower him too much that I take away his feet or whatever. But again, whatever I lower below the bed plate will not print. So now let's go back to our support painting. Not as much. I mean, there's still some there, but not as bad. But I still know that this is not enough to have to worry about having supports. If I put supports on that, it's going to be a pain in the bumpicus to get off. I could even possibly go a little lower with him. I don't want to go too low, because I don't want to lose his feet, you know. But when you have objects that just have that little bit of an edge to it, either bring it down or chance it even sometimes to see not as much. All right, so still showing a little bit. So now I'm going to go over to the pen size because I'm on the support painting. To make my pen bigger, and I'm just going to take this red. If I put my mouse here, it tells me that left mouse button enforces, right mouse button blocks, which is green is left and red is right. So I'm just going to color out all of this because I don't think any of that is going to be necessary. Now I could be wrong and my print could fail from the beginning. Then I'll go back in and I'll change it a little. but I don't think I'm wrong. Matter of fact, I know I'm not wrong. I'm going to do the same thing with his feet. Okay. But now I'm going to get in closer because I got to make sure that I actually got it all. Because sometimes it'll look like you're painting it and there'll be an extra open spot. So let's just slice just that part. See how we did. Slicer sometimes takes forever. But again, I took that check mark off, remember? Alright, let's look at our bottom now. Yeah, see, we didn't need all that waste. Alright, now let's look at our front side. Now, I know that this has got a really good overhang to it on his eye. So I'm going to left click there. Oh, I forgot. I'm not even in paint mode. There we go. Support painting. It's not paint mode. It's support painting. It's a little different. So I'm going to go in, make sure I got all that. And then I want just a little bit. Just a little bit under his eyebrow. So, wrong one. Right there. So maybe like that. Maybe that might work. Alright, so then I'm going to look at the rest of this now. Remember how much was in his mouth? We don't need that much. So I'm going to make this a little smaller. Because we have bridging ability. And so if you've got just a little bit of supports, that'll bridge over to the next support. To the next support. And you got to get in here then. This is where it gets hard. Because even the smidgest little crack, you're going to... it's going to miss it. I'm not taking out every support in the mouth because it needs it. See him right there, and right there says it needs it. You see those little marks there? And the little mark there. Okay. Now I'm going to go down to his neck. I'm just going to make this a little smaller. I'm going to do the same thing, but I really got to get in here and look at his neck. See, even drawing it like that, I missed that. So I'm just going to do one full thing there. Now, is this foolproof? Is this always going to work? No. That's why you got to just play around with it, see where you think you can, because again, it'll bridge. And this isn't going to take them all out. This is not going to take them all out. This is just going to take out a few to kind of give it a little bit of a breather, though. And again, this doesn't always work. It depends on the print you're printing. I'm going to have to re-angle that another way. And what did I do? I got green on his tongue for some reason. I don't know how I did. You know what I did? I left-clicked instead of right-clicked, didn't I? So what I can do here is I can go shift left mouse button and erase what I messed up. See that? I can shift left erase to get rid of those and start those over because, yeah, I hit the wrong button. It's always great when you're trying to show something and then you mess up. All right, let's bring that back a little wider. And I'm just going to bring that down like that. That, like that. Then I got to get into the crevice here. That might be too thick. Let me go a little thinner. See, like, the angles up here. See how I'm, did it again. See how I missed that? And I even missed it when I was erasing it. So you got to kind of go and, oh, there's more. See what I did there? Don't want any there. So I'm going to erase that. All right. Let's see what happens when I slice it now. This is probably going to be too big to put on Discord, so I'll probably have to put it up on YouTube. Okay. Still a lot, but not as choky. Still is choky. Could probably use a little bit more off the neck. All right. This is one of those things that you just got to keep going back and forth for. So I'm probably missing some edges that are, maybe if we make it a little bit thicker. But yeah, if we're missing even the smallest little dot, so let's bring that in a little bit more. And this is probably where that gap can come into handy, right? Just don't believe that every bit of that's needed. All right, let's slice it again. So just one of those things you have to go back and forth until you get it where you like it. Then try to print it and see what happens. If your print fails, then take a, you know that for the next time that those supports need to be more on there than less. It doesn't look like much, like we've gotten rid of a lot, but we really have. We really have. Let's work on that mouth just a smidge more, I think. And probably could work on making my dot for my eye a little smaller. So I think what I'm going to do is erase my eye and redo it just a smidge smaller. Oh, see, now I don't want red, I want green here. Do it like that. I think like that. For my mouth, I'm going to take a little bit more off. I don't think I'm getting something. Something's not. My neck, we got a little bit more off. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. It's hard when you're turning it, you wind up marking things you didn't mean to mark. This neck here is crazy. Let's slice it again. All right, so you get the gist. And I'm going to show you something about this, and then we're going to end this, because it's already been 20 minutes. So we got that down a little smaller like that. We don't have as many, and look how thin they are. Still looks like he's being choked, but not as much. And this is going to take 3 hours and 16 minutes and 2 seconds to print. So what I want to do is I want to show you what it looked like again before we did a few little things. So let's go back to prepare. I'm going to go back to the painting of the support. Make sure you're doing the right one, that you're clicking on support painting. There's another one that's a painting, but you can't do it on your printer. There's another one you'll see on your printer. Let me show you it. You have to have 2 colors up. So 2 colors up. You could print more than one color. You know that. But with this, you could print more than one color. That could be another video. But there's this painting here. Okay. This one, to where you could color in like the eyes, let's say. Right? Would be great if you could do that on your printer. You cannot. The Ender 3 V3KE cannot do this. It takes an item to do something like that. You would need an AMS system or a CFS system, and they're not made for the Ender 3 V3KE yet. But Creality's working on it. But what you could do, you can't do that. You can do this, though. Oh, hold on, not that. Ignore that. So don't even mess with this part. This is not for you. Not for Ender 3 V3KEs anyway. Okay, not yet. But if you wanted to do multicolor, you could do it this way. So let's say I wanted this part of his body to be black. Okay. First I'm going to slice him. This is definitely going to have to go on YouTube. And I'm not a professional. So I don't use the terminology. I don't use all the big words and all of that. I just use what I've known, what I've learned. So let's do this again. Let's say, now you're doing this after it's already in the slice, okay? After it's been sliced, don't go back to prepare. I go maybe right there. I can right click it and I can say change filament and I can hit the white, right? Then I could go up a little bit more, right here, my plus here. Maybe I want to go to here. Now I can't see what I'm doing, right? It's not doing anything. So if you slice first, now if you know what layers you want, you can do it that way. But because we need to see what layers, and you can see we couldn't get all the way up there with it. Bummer in the summer. All right. Now I can see. Maybe I want to go a little bit more up. Maybe I don't like it there. Maybe that wasn't big enough for me. Maybe I want to go up further. I can click on this back here and then hit X and get rid of it. Okay, but once I do that, I have to slice again. You remember, just like a cake mix, every time you put another ingredient in, you gotta mix it, right? Don't forget what we had in our print, though. For our, it was 3 hours and 16 minutes. I don't want to forget that. 3 hours, 16 minutes. Okay. Let's go up a little bit more with it. Now, as you can see, we're going to get his chin a little bit in there. Okay, so maybe right there. Change filament. Ah, it was the same spot. If I know where it was at and I can go up just a little bit more, I can right-click, change filament. And take that one off now. Go back up to that one. All right. Maybe I want to get the wings all the way. So I could guess without reslicing, save time. All right. And then maybe I want the rest to be white for a little while, and maybe I'm gonna, so I'll reslice it so I can see where we're at now. And then maybe I want all of this until I get to here. Maybe I want that, and I can change the filament back to that, right? Slice it again. Did I just hit the white again on it? I bet you I did. Yeah, I'm great at teaching, huh? Teaching you what not to do. Just gotta wait for this. All right. I wanted this to be orange, and I messed up and hit the wrong color. But that's it. That's all I want, right? So I want the rest of it to be like that so I can slice it again for the last slice. And now, now I can have two different colors. And I'm going to go back on what I said about that paint thing, because I wonder, and see, still 3 hours and 19 minutes and 42 seconds. But then what happens is when it gets to this level, your printer will stop. It will not ding. It will not make a noise and let you know that it stopped. So you've got to be watching it at a certain point in time. You don't want it to cool down all the way. If it cools down all the way, then it's more of a chance that it's going to fall off the print before you can get the print done. So make sure if you're doing this, you're watching your printer so that when it stops, you can do this, because it will not ding. Okay? I've tried everything. I've tried putting in codes into the G code. Nothing works. If you figure out something, let me know. Anyway, then you can do a multicolor print that way. I'm going to take that back off because I don't want to do that. But what I wonder is, I bet you could possibly use that paint as long as you're only doing layers. But let's go back now. 3 hours and 19 minutes. Let's go back to our tree supports. And I want to take it all back off. Okay. Reslice it. Because, you know, you might not remember how many were on there and how less it did have on it after we were done. Back to being all snug. Alright, but the timing was still good. Timing didn't really change much on either one, did it? That's funny. Alright, well anyway, that's what I got for you on that. Now, what if it's the opposite way? What if you want to put the stuff on yourself? Then you could go to Tree Manual. And Tree's always going to be, is most of the time better than normal because it doesn't use as many. But maybe you want to do it manually. So go back to here. Oh, wrong one. I lie. Terrible, aren't I? Terrible, terrible, terrible. This one, sorry. You could add your own. So you might say, okay, I see all these red spots. So I'm going to put a tree here. I think it needs one here. I don't think it needs one there. Hold on. You might say, okay, I'm going to put a support here. I'm going to put a support here. I definitely think it needs one there and there. One there, one there. Let's support that back. We'll get one here, one here, one here, and one here. I don't think the bottoms are needed, so I'm not going to do anything with them. And let's, and I know that I need one here. Probably not that thick. Now I'm going to need one for the overhang on the mouth. A little bit for the tongue. Slice it. I don't know why it's giving it that many. We did not mark that much. We did not mark that much. Maybe because it was so thick. All right, let's see. What did I do here? What did I do? I think because I made them so thick. I laid it on thick here, baby. I just take a little bit of this off. Oh, I got it all up in here. We didn't need all that. So you got to be careful when you're putting it on. I was being very sloppy, wasn't I? See that? I was being very sloppy. I don't know how I did that. That's why there's so many. Way sloppy. Jeezels, sneezels. I was major sloppy. See, how did I get all this all like that? The angle, I guess? I don't know. All right, so there we go. Now we've made our own supports for our character. And that's what I got for you today. Until next time. Oh, I lie. I want one more thing. I said we would look at that paint thing one more time. Because there is one other option, the height range. So with the height range, you probably could do it. Because then you're only, you're still only doing it even. You have to do them even layered in order to change filament on it, because you have to do manual swaps. With manual swaps, so that means not only do you have to watch it for every time you change the color, But you also have to tell it to extrude and retract. So you'll go to your machine, you'll tell it to retract the filament once it stops. You'll tell it to retract the filament. It'll pull that filament out. Then you have to put the new filament in. You have to make sure the nozzle's back at 220 before you put your filament in. I hope people are doing that. Heat your nozzle before you put your filament in to at least 220. Then put your filament in at make sure you've cut that to a 45-degree edge. Put that in there. Push it down. Hold on the little lever thingy. Put it down just a little bit more. Then go to your extrude. Extrude at least 50 millimeters of your filament out. Once you've done that, clear the nozzle, then start your print. When you're stopped for the next print or the next layer of the print, you need to retract using the retraction. You don't have to make any settings for the retraction. The machine already has them auto set. Retract. Then you have to load and extrude again. So every time you change a layer, you have to extrude and retract and all that fun jazz. But let's say I wanted to do this. Okay, maybe I want to make, I need to make sure I'm on the color that I want to change to. And I think I want to go up higher with it. So maybe I want this to be white. All right. Okay, maybe I want this to be white. I don't know what happened to the bottom of his butt. Oh, you know what happened? I should have checked this earlier. I put him down way too low, and look what happened. I lost part of his bottom side. So I need to go back and bring him up a little maybe. Not make him bigger. That wasn't the idea. I need to bring him up. So see, now he's got his bottom side back. Whoops, I did that. Now, in order for it to be layered like that, you're going to have to... hold on, let me get off of that. You can only be on one at a time. You're going to have to use this fill in these bottoms. They're going to have to be white. If they're any other color, again, it's not going to work on your machine. Let's slice it there. We should have 2 color changes. That's it. How will we know? It'll be on our slicer information. If there's more than 2 colors, then this is definitely not going to work. That means it's going to have missed a spot. Let's see. How many layer changes? And of course, it's not showing it. It's not showing it. Again, we may not be able to use this. I don't know. I will test this, though, tomorrow. Okay, so let's go back to it. Click on there, click that. All right, let's do back to this again. And see, right here is why it's definitely not going to work. See all this here? That means it would cut it like 50 times to do that. So this won't work for this. It just won't work. Because it's not getting in all the nooks and crannies that it needs to. See here? So that means it would stop printing in white and only print in orange there. You'd have to make sure you get every bit of this. If you don't, it's going to mess up your printer. That's why the other way I showed you to change filament is the best way for your printer. Okay, so we know that's not going to work. We're just going to stop there. And that's all we're going to do for today. So, Unless you can get every nook and cranny so that you don't have not one little sliver there. That's what's going to have to happen. You're better off. Erase all. You're better off doing it the other way, because this is not going to work. Because even one little smidge of that orange could mean orange, white, orange, white, 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 orange, 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 white, 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 orange, 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 white, 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 orange, 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 white, for this tiny little part. And the Ender 3v3KE cannot handle that. I tried. It did not work. It messed up so bad on me for so many times. I would just continue going with this way to change your filament. Oh, forgot. Slice plate. And as long as it's just going up and down, that's the way to do it. All right. So to refresh, Tree Organics, fix them how you want them, how you think. If they don't work, try and try again. Add some wherever you see it's. If you see when you printed that this side was drooping, then add another tree support back. Now you know how to do the manual add-ons too. As for changing the color, I would do it with this, not with the paint thing, because if not, you're just asking to have a lot of problems. And if you see those Hue Forges out there and you want to do those, not on the Ender 3v3KE. Not unless it's layered like this. Well, I shouldn't say you can't do them, because you can. It's just a lot of color swaps. But we could have done that. Look at that. That's cute. All right, and with that, this is where we'll end it as soon as this gets done slicing. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this is helpful in some way. Bye.